Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, Bahasham Rachakudash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, and peace and blessings to the elect. And back with a few headlines on here. Now today you had UAE, right, which is, as you can see here, one of the prominent members of Opec, okay, just announced that they are going to be pretty much leaving, right, OPEC, effective May 1st, okay, which, that's also, I mean, just even the news of that is sending oil prices up, but that's also going to leave some pretty lasting effects, considering that it's not, I mean, based on how these things go, there's a great probability that it's not going to be just the UAE, right? Should they actually leave? I mean, they said they are. May 1st is a couple of days away. They're not going to be the only ones, right? Don't be surprised if shortly after other nations that are in there start to also leave, because as this closure of the strait has put a lot of strain upon the global economy, it's also put a lot of strain on those Gulf states as well. So let's read a little bit of this here. First of many, UAE exits OPEC as Iran chaos triggers nationalistic realignment among producers. Remember something about countries that are considered producers of whatever it is they produce. When you are a producer, you first, take care of what you have at home, right? When there's shortages or, whatever the case is, you're not going to prioritize exporting goods that you need domestically first. You need to prioritize what you have first. It's kind of like having an excess of, let's just say, energy or electricity, right? And just for example's sake, here it is, you got power outages in your country because you don't have enough energy, but you're prioritizing sending all right, most if not all of your energy to other countries. That doesn't make sense, okay? When things get scarce, exporters of rice keep the rice that they can use for themselves first. So it says here, just days after the UAE publicly signaled liquidity concerns by requesting swap lines from the Federal Reserve to ease pressures on the country's banks, major Gulf oil producer, the UAE, has decided to exit the oil cartel. An unexpected development that crossed Bloomberg headlines on Tuesday morning. Now, I believe they also declared force majeure, which, due to the obvious situation, now it's looking like a stalemate over there at that strait. Those Gulf countries that had obligations, right, in terms of producing and delivering certain energy and goods, wouldn't be able to do that due to factors that they don't control. So it's now getting to the point where obviously they're not broadcasting everything going on internally, but they have to now start making these decisions because they're like, yo, this doesn't look like something that's just gonna blow over in a day or two. It says here, the official website of the Emirates News Agency, or WAM, broke the story, stating that the UAE has decided to exit OPEC and OPEC Plus as of May 1st, in line with the country's long-term strategic and economic plan. Now, they also said, I saw a notification here, not from the UAE, but generally speaking, that is, about U.S. prices. Was it the highest has been in about 4 years or so? And it's pretty much climbing up, and it's like a sustained / prolonged elevation of prices. And imagine, you feel something happens, right? You feel some pain, but it lasts for like a split second, and then it goes away. Yeah, it's kind of bad, right? Because like, damn, yo, what was that? But then, by the time your mind even goes on it, it's gone. Versus pain that is like there for hours and even days. That pain, even though it may be the same force, right? Imagine like somebody pinches you, right? They pinch you once and then that's it, versus a continual hold of that pinch. They may use the same force, but the hold feels more painful because it's prolonged, right? So with these prices going up, if they went up for maybe a week or two, some might barely even feel that, right? But because then the prices will start coming down rapidly. But when it starts to be prolonged and elevated and then it continues to rise, that's the thing that gets you, right? It goes up. It seems like it's going up very, little by little by little, but those cents that it keeps going up by, they add up. Okay, they add up, and before you know it, you're wondering like, yo, like it's like you can't see the money leaving, but you can see that the money is gone. Then you wondering like, yo, I just got paid, or I just did this, and how come? Like it's only been, a week or 2 weeks or a month, and all the money's gone, right? Because you're already living in um an economy that's suffering from inflation. So anyway, reading on, it says the move would represent a major rupture within OPEC, with direct implications for the remaining 11 members: Saudi Arabia, Iran, Iraq, Kuwait, Venezuela, Nigeria, Libya, Algeria, Congo, Equatorial Guinea, and Gabon. So let's see, what that does, how much more pressure that puts on them. But what are these other countries going to do? It won't be long before they start following suit. WAM said the decision reflects the evolution of sector policies to enhance flexibility in responding to market dynamics, while continuing to contribute to market stability in a thoughtful and responsible manner. Okay. Now it says here, important to note, UAE ranks among the top producers in OPEC, because that's also another important thing to note, right? It's not like they're like, okay, at the bottom and all right, so it's cool, even if they left, you barely notice. No, they're one of the top producers in there, right? Approximately 4.5, or let's just say approximately 4 million barrels per day that is produced. Okay, making it a major player with growing capacity ambitions. So, within the coming days, you'll start to hear more about how, the ripple effects of this, but also, what trend this might start amongst other countries that are in OPEC currently. Next, this is a U.S. energy chief warns Iran shut-ins could be devastating, right? And yeah, you have the other parts about the mines, but this is the more interesting part, right? About the Iran shut-ins, and let's see why that is. See if I can find where it is here. Right. So it says here, the longer the strait is shut, the longer a historical energy disruption will continue. In the U.S., and this is because there's interdependence between countries. Because of the state of affairs of the world today, the things that affect one country are not isolated to that country because of interdependence. You have this, I have this, I depend on you for this, you depend on me for that. So if something goes wrong with you, there's a problem going on here. In the U.S., a surge in pump prices comes months before President Donald Trump's Republican Party faces midterm elections, which that's also interesting. We're going to see what ends up happening prior to that. Wright also said the U.S. plans to announce historic pipeline agreements that will lead to increases in the amount of U.S. oil and natural gas Europe imports as part of the Trump peace pipeline agenda. Last but not least, the U.S. Energy Secretary repeated verbatim what we said over the weekend when we pointed out that a prolonged shut-in would be devastating to Iran's oil shut-in, meaning that they're not able to get the oil out, right? Like you get it out the ground. Usually the flow is you get it out the ground, you load it up, and then you ship it out. But now you're not able to. Would be devastating to Iran's oil reservoirs, as over half of them are low pressure, putting them at risk for permanent loss after shut-ins via near wellbore water emulsions clay swelling, and water blockages. And these are basically things that affect because when you get oil, it's from the ground. All right, so they not only dig, but they have certain mechanisms set up that extracts the oil from the ground. So when you have to halt that, and for a long period of time, the different examples they just listed here sort of cause the formations within the ground to create an environment that sometimes becomes impossible to reopen again, or to go back to producing or extracting the oil like you were able to before. So they'd rather not let it get to that point. Now, this is also another interesting headline that I saw here, right? And this one, it's not new, but it's interesting because it says Google authorizes the U.S. War Department to use AI tools in classified environments. Now, I believe they used Anthropic's tooling, and then they came out and basically blacklisted them. If I'm not mistaken, I think they've also used OpenAI, Palantir. Okay, so you're starting to see a lot of these big tech companies, especially on their AI tooling, they're making deals with the U.S. military, U.S. government, and basically allowing them to use it, right? Now it says accelerating the Pentagon's push to embed AI in its operations, following OpenAI and XAI signing similar agreements in recent weeks. The reason this is interesting is because it sets a precedent where it's now, your government has AI. AI infiltrates every part, every facet of your world, and especially your government. Now, it's not like your government has been known to be trustworthy. Now, imagine the whole C-19 lockdowns and situations, except now, because you had it even in different parts of the world where they were actually going to people's homes and dragging them out and sending them to isolation centers, right? Imagine the use of AI with that now. So, yes, they're saying they can use it here, the Department of War, but when you normalize your government's use of AI, right, which really elevates what already privilege and power that they had, it elevates that some more. But eventually, when they start to use it against the people, now you're in it's a different situation, right? Because they already have power over the people through certain means that they have set up over these years. But now with the acceleration or the boost of artificial intelligence, that's a different kind of prison that we're talking about here. Like, you can even watch the movie Mercy, for example. So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 5. I'll start at verse 9 just to get straight to the point, because this is why it's important to have the knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the Lord and the faith in the Lord, because the time is coming when just common knowledge will not be enough, right? Like, you're gonna need divine providence, guidance to lead you through these times, because it'll be like no escape kind of situations. And that's what'll make it more miraculous when the Lord actually does deliver us. So verse 9, it says in 2nd Ezra 5 and 9, and salt waters shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another, right? So people are going to start turning on each other. People that are friends now, when desperation sets in, that's going to change. And a lot of people aren't even mentally prepared for that. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber, and shall be sought of many, and yet not be found. Because people are going to be looking for answers. They're going to be looking for solutions. They're going to be looking for a way out. Meanwhile, they sat there and allowed the situation to get to that point. Not that they could have really done anything about it, but at least preparing themselves so when it comes, they would be all right. It's like putting on a life vest, so if the ship crashes, at least you're not, just sinking straight to the bottom. Then shall unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth. And that's when you see your purge-like situations, because there's nothing to hold people back. They do what they want. They take what they want. They kill who they want. One land also shall ask another, and say, is righteousness that maketh a man righteous gone through thee? And it shall say no. And that's not literal, like the land is not going to speak to itself, but the people in it. Okay, because it's gonna be so, so inhumane on every corner that it's like, are there even any people left that are not just completely turned in the head, right? That either just want to kill you on sight, harm you, or whatever the case is. That's going to be a rarity actually in these times because people will adapt to the environment. And just like you see in the Purge movies, that's exactly what they do. Is like everybody becomes a crazed killer. And there's very few people that actually like, like using, that have a human side to them, you can say. Verse 12, and at that time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. See, so as they sit by and these times pass them by and they don't prepare, and really the only way to prepare is to turn back to the Lord. But that sounds like a joke to a lot of people. Well, guess what? When they start sending them autonomous drones powered by Gemini or your favorite Chat GPT, which it won't be called Chat GPT because it ain't gonna be there to chat with you. All right, when Grok freaking lights his eyes up and you see guns come out from the bottom of that drone, you're gonna be thinking twice about that, right? And X is ready to X you out, you're gonna be thinking twice about that. But anyway, just wanted to go into that. Lord willing, that was edifying and informative to the elect. In closing, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahasham Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Rachak Wadash. And until next time, Shalom.